Now, diving into this video, I'm going to try to keep these relatively digestible, 13 to 15 minutes, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter, but want to keep these around a digestible video time frame. I might do some long form content, I might do some shorts, things like that. But I'm just going to be creating content for now. I just kind of want to have fun with it. Diving into the Toronto Maple Leafs, and wow, has this season not gone to plan at all. Keith Pelly sent out an email last week, and they were hoping on playoffs. After these two first games against Florida and Tampa, wow. They've been getting caved in nightly this entire season. And just because they went on a little 3-game winning streak against two of the worst teams in the NHL and then somehow beat the Oilers. And then you go on an Olympic break. And you come back and they get stomped out. Now, listen, I know there's an Austin Matthews topic at hand. I don't really want to give my opinion on that for right now. Just because, it's a different topic for a different time, but I also don't want to be divisive on my first video, because, I do have a take about it, and I'm not the happiest with his decision-making. But still, that's all I'll touch on it for now. Right now, I don't know what the Leafs are. I don't think they're bad enough to be bottom of the barrel, and I don't think they're good enough to make playoffs. So I think they're stuck in purgatory right now for a team that has no draft pick this upcoming draft, unless it's in the top 5, because it's top 5 protected. What are they going to do? Now, a draft is a long ways away. Has that impact trade deadline? Well, the Leafs obviously want to make the playoffs, because that's what their team's built for right now. It hasn't gone this way. It hasn't gone their way this season. Whether it's injury luck, whether it's Brad Treliving has not done a good enough job to replace the talent of Mitch Marner, who they got Nick Waugh for because Marner left in free agency, but signed with the Leafs, then got traded to Vegas. I don't know what they do going forward. Well, I know what they should do. I don't know what they will do, and that's a problem here. Keith Pelly, who's the head of MLS, he oversees all of the sports franchises, but he's never actually worked in hockey. And since we're talking about the hockey team of the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's been rough this season, and he sent out an email last week where they're hoping on playoffs. This team's not making playoffs. It would take a miracle. It would take probably some of the best goaltending we've ever seen out of Anthony Solars and Joseph Woll. Just finding the form they did last year, somehow figuring out how to defend. I mean, they've given up the most 5-on-5 goals in the NHL this season. It's been bad. And what they should do is sell. If they're going to go for a retool or whatever, they just need to get assets back. They need something. For example, here's somebody who they should trade. Bobby McMahon. What is he doing on this team right now? Well, he's a good offensive player. I agree with you. Bobby McMahon's a free agent at the end of the season. And if you don't keep him, that's some of the worst asset management we've ever seen. That's just terrible. You got to get something for him, and if you're that adamant about him being on the Leafs long term, go sign him again in the offseason. Up his pay. He's on a really reasonable contract. He's making less than $1 million. He's going to cost the team that trades for him, if that happens, under the league minimum for the rest of the way, because it's already been half a season, or more than half a season. So tons of teams should want him because he has such a low cap hit. And he also has a play style that's pretty adaptable, and I think he plays fast, I think he plays hard, and I think, there's a lot of really good things he could bring to a team that's looking to make the playoffs and go on a cup run, even if it's as a depth winger. But just looking at this team, there is talent here, but they need to pick a direction. And if the direction is stay the course, why? This team's won 2 playoff series in a decade. They've not done well at all. in the trade department. The last year, it's been almost a calendar year since they made a trade, but at the same time, the last trade they made was, or one of the last trades they made was getting Brendan Carlo for Fraser Minton, who would probably be one of the top goal scorers on this team right now if you just looked at he would be one of the top goal scorers. I mean, he's played very well. And even if he's only a 3C here, I would take it over what we have currently because he's young, he's cheap, he has a future. Also, we gave up a first-round pick. I mean, the trade is bad. And I don't hate Carlo at all. But Carlo's somebody who should go this offseason, this trade deadline. The Leafs need assets in a way where they can be able to retool relatively easily. The way they do that is trading guys for assets, get younger and athletic, and then spend the cap money they traded away on players. Now, it sounds way easier in theory than it is, but at least it's a direction the Leafs can take and sell to the fan base. If they buy this deadline, I would blow a gasket. Blow a gasket. I mean, ridiculous stuff. What is there to save? Like, what do they have to buy with? Guys, what are you going to go through this next draft with no draft picks? I mean, you're already missing some in the top rounds. Recoup some assets. I mean, if they don't come away with one first-round pick this deadline, it is absolutely a failure by Brad Treliving. It's a failure by Keith Pelly. It's a failure by ownership. Because what are we realistically trying to achieve here? Okay, hypothetically, stay with me here. If they make the playoffs, are they going to beat somebody? Who are they going to beat? Like, who are the playoff teams right now? This team's not better than Buffalo. They're not better than the Bruins. The Bruins have passed, we have Matthews and Nylander. They have Pastrnak. But, the Bruins are just a better team than the Leafs right now. And I mean, okay, look at all the teams that are ahead of them that aren't in the playoffs. Florida is now at least tied with the Leafs, if not ahead. I haven't checked the exact standings right this second, but I know they beat them last night. Ottawa's ahead of them. I would take Ottawa's roster. I wouldn't take their goalies, but I think their roster is at least comparable to the Leafs right now. You know, Tim Stützle is a very good player. Jake Sanderson would easily be our best defenseman, or be the Leafs' best defenseman. What is the point if they limp into the playoffs and just get first rounded? Well, at least we made the playoffs. Yeah, but you're not getting better. I mean, how do you get better this offseason? How do you get back in a cup contention if you're the Leafs? If you're not selling? That's an answer that I don't have the answers to. I'm not getting paid to have the answers to that. You know, Brad Treliving is. But we have to really ask here, what is the game plan? Now, looking at Puckpedia here, the Maple Leafs over the next 2 seasons don't have 1 second-round pick, 1 third-round pick. And in the 2026 draft, have 1 third-round pick, 1 fifth-round pick, 1 sixth-round pick. They have 3 picks this next draft. What do you have to trade? There's no prospect. None that are significant that will win you a bidding war. They have draft picks in 2028, but, why would you get rid of those at this point? You're just kicking the can down the road. It's bad for the Leafs right now. And there's certain people who just trade them. You can find that value. This free agency class isn't good, but you can find the value, or at least comparable. Right? You're telling me there's not a Scott Laughton in free agency this year you can go sign? Maybe not for Scott Laughton's cap hit, but at least get assets for Scotty and then spend the money. I don't know. Anyway, it's very hard for me to look at this Leafs team right now and just see where the future is. Or see that there is a future where they get back to contention. Now, I do think this team probably has talent to make the playoffs. You know, Austin Matthews and William Nylander are fantastic forwards. They really are. Chris Tanev, when healthy, is one of the best shutdown defensemen in the league. Is he, Is Chris Tanev an elite defenseman? I would say probably not, but I think he's very good. And when he was healthy this season, he absolutely looked the part. When it comes to the Leafs, this retooling isn't. You have the core foundation here. Austin Matthews and William Nylander aren't super old. They're not spring chickens anymore, and Austin Matthews has a very big injury history, but there's still a way where you can convince the fan base that a retool here is possible, like the Bruins, who, traded Brad Marchand. It's asset management. It's what Kyle Dubas was really good at. If you look at Pittsburgh, he's absolutely got them in a playoff spot and has, over the next 3 years, 6 or 7 second-round picks. Just as an example, that's very good. Brad needs to figure out how to do that. And if you look at his history in Calgary, I'm not sure he's the guy who's there. But looking down the road further, or just looking down the organization further, is Craig Berube going to be here next year? I mean, probably not. They look terrible. They get caved in nightly. This system looks like it isn't working. And I know they won a lot of games last year, but a lot of the analytics speak to that. They just got really great goaltending that bailed them out of situations. Now, I do think there is talent on the roster, and trading some of it away is going to be hard to get it back. OEL is a really good puck-moving defenseman. He's also going to be 35 and on a sweetheart of a contract at $3.5 million, with the cap set to explode over the next 3 seasons, or go up pretty significantly in terms of percentage, right? That's a good contract. There's no way OEL isn't worth a first-round pick, and more. I mean, if they don't get a first for OEL, maybe don't trade OEL then if you can't get a first. It's bad for the Leafs right now, and I don't know if they're competent enough to actually right this ship. And that's a scary thought, because if this doesn't work, if this reset, retool, whatever they're going to sell the fan base on doesn't work, where does that leave them with Austin Matthews and William Nylander? So say it takes 2 to 3 years. Both of them are going to be in their 30s at that point. And where does it go? What are they okay with? Because if the team's bad over the next 2 to 3 years, are they going to want to stick around for another rebuild or a full teardown or retool? I mean, it would make more sense for the Leafs to trade both of them to kickstart a rebuild. The performance of this team right now has been shocking, but not shocking. Losing a 100-point player like Marner is tough. And finding a way to replace that production, even if it's through the aggregate, is incredibly difficult. The Leafs haven't done that. And whether it's besides the point whether or not they botched the asset that is Mitch Marner. But right now, Mitch Marner's not walking back through that door. They have a young player in Easton Cowan, and I'm not comparing the two players because I don't see Easton Cowan ever being as good as Mitch Marner is, but I think Easton Cowan has talent. He hasn't played in a calendar month. When the Olympic break happened, he sat at home. He wasn't with the Marlies, who were allowed to play, and he wasn't getting experience. And now that the team is back playing NHL games, he's a healthy scratch in the press box. What's that doing for a young player? That's the type of competence that you expect from a big league front office to have, or at least a franchise front office as expensive as the Leafs is to be doing. What is happening with Easton Cowan makes no sense. And I think it points to a larger picture that there's a dysfunction and disconnect within the Leafs brass, or front office executives. What I would like to see as a fan is a teardown. Or at least a retool where maybe Matthews and Nylander and Tavares are still here through this trade deadline, but a lot of other pieces are moved. Same with Nyes, right? Like, you have a good young player locked up long term. Nyes is a valuable asset. You're probably not going to want to move on from him. If you can get anything for this defense that has given up the most goals in the National Hockey League in 5-on-5 play, if you can get value from that, why aren't you taking it? Clearly it's not working, and whether that's Berube, the roster, the game plan, whatever, it's not working. And if you can extract value from it, then what is Brad doing? What is this front office doing? What is ownership doing? It's at the end of the day, if you can, what if you trade Carlo and you can maybe get a couple picks out of it? He hasn't been good this season. What if you can trade Morgan Riley and get out of that contract? Maybe you don't get a lot of in return, but you get out of the contract. What if you trade OEL and you get a top prospect, a first, and then like a third and a fifth, right? I assume the bidding for OEL might be pretty high considering it's a seller's market, right? How do you turn that down? Just from a game theory perspective, why would you not trade OEL? His value is never going to be higher than it is right now. He's just getting older. He's about to be 35. And he had a career resurgence here. Thank you for all we've done for you. Now go to a contender and try to contend for a cup. That's doing right by him. That's doing right by you guys. Maybe OEL doesn't like it because he has to move. But, of course, like, by OEL, I mean Oliver Ekman-Larsson, by the way. But anyway, I don't know what happens with the Toronto Maple Leafs going forward. And it'll be really interesting to see what's coming up in a trade line that happens exactly 1 week from today.